So relax your hands, and I'd like you to take a walk down memory lane in your own life, starting from where you were in terms of career, relationships, wherever, and where you are now. And how much of it do you think is your effort that has brought you here, wherever it is, good, bad? But do you think you've reached where you are because of your effort? Very objectively, take a minute to look back and give me an answer. You all are all shaking your heads.
Efforts, Ma's blessings, you mean, right? In our journey.
But which is more important? What has been the more deciding factor, Ma's blessings or your effort? Yeah, each one believes what they believe, but in my experience, I can only speak from my experience. I feel to reach wherever I am, I have played almost no effort. I feel that the large working of where I've reached, it may not be anything much, but wherever I've reached, I feel that there's something bigger than me that has carved the way and brought me there. And there's that beautiful line in the song Amazing Grace. It was grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace shall take me home. So the point is, last Saturday also we did She Carries Me, right? And this Saturday we go deeper into the thought, the peace of being carried. When we feel we have to move ahead with only our personal effort, we put a lot of strain on ourselves, a lot of pressure, there's a lot of anxiety, sometimes there's competitiveness with people who are trying to reach, sometimes there's jealousy, and it's not just in domains of work. All these can occur in any domains. So when we forget that we are being carried, always this anxiety, fear, all that comes in. But if we can look back from up in our past and just know that whatever I went through, I was surely carried through it. I couldn't have come out of it. All of us have things which are not so pleasant in our life. And when we were in it, we might have felt so stuck, so there's no way out. But there was always a way out. We always came out. And at least in my experience, I wouldn't say I came out too much through my personal effort. Okay, my personal effort, when I did manage to open to grace, that much okay. But otherwise, it was grace that did everything. So we keep forgetting that. Next time we are stuck or there's something that's like that, we keep forgetting this simple fact, and we keep going into mind states of jealousy, anger, anxiety. So I'm going to read you this piece. It's towards the end of the PDF. So, when the oft experienced veil of ignorance clouds the vision, and we appear discrete, separate bits to each other, when the unseen hand is the hand of grace, that is faithfully carrying each of us, becomes invisible to our seeing, then we walk into the hell of feeling inadequate and lacking in love, lacking in success, lacking in capacity, and so on. So it's saying that whenever we feel unloved, inadequate, anxious, somehow we've lost the remembrance of the unseen hand that carries us. When grace steps in, dispelling the clouds over our eyes, once more the sun of the invisible hand becomes visible. We see that every moment it is carrying each of us to a unique optimum. Optimum is what's best for us, not maximum, not minimum. That we see that at every moment it is carrying each of us to a unique optimum of success, love, and capacity. So very often, most of my unhappiness comes because of measurement. The word Maya, illusion, it comes from the word measurement. We are always measuring our status versus somebody else. So if I'm comparing how successful I am with somebody else, I'm feeling like a failure. If I'm comparing the happiness other people enjoy in their family relationships and I don't, I'm feeling like a failure. But what this piece is reminding us is that that unseen hand, which is carrying each of you, is carrying each of you to the unique optimum of success for you. Do you understand the term unique optimum? Unique to you, it's not for anyone else. An optimum is best for you, the unique best for you. So the unique best for you family relationships, the unique best for you career wise, everywhere. Best in what sense? Best not when you measure it in I'm earning so much, he's earning so much, but best for what will help your soul to fulfill its purpose in incarnating in this birth. So each of us is carried by the unseen hand to our optimum of success, of good relationships, of health, everything. So that's what it means by saying a unique optimum. The previous echo of ignorance intoning, I do not have what he, she has, and so I feel small and resentful, is muted into the knowing my optimum is unique to me. Her optimum, his optimum is unique to him, her. The unseen hand knows exactly how much of the desired object or goal is good for me and carries me to that exactly measured optimum. More or less are meaningless. It is senseless to resent another's achievement because what goes to that one was her due from the unseen hand. What is my due from the hand will know my face and come to me. Such a peace and contentment there is in dropping into that hand and allowing it to carry me moment to moment, quenched in the contentment and security of recognizing the infinite wisdom and love in each of its maneuvers. Is it clear? So whenever you're comparing with somebody else, just remind yourself, wherever I'm carried to whatever level of success is best for me, whatever that person's carried to is best for him. See, each one's success and happiness is tailor-made for them. If I see Prarthna's success and I want that, even if it came to me, it would be ill-fitting because that robe of circumstances has been fitted and tailored to Prarthna's requirement. It wouldn't fit well on me. Whatever's given to me is the best for me. That's the peace of being carried. You're in surrender and you're happy and contented with wherever you are, whatever you're given. The unseen hand can open the vision into seeing that each apparently separate bit is just another becoming of the One, another manifestation of the mighty Mother. Then instead of shrinking when another is seen shining, the being breaks into the paean chant, victory chant, Jai Ma, victory to the Mother, exulting in how she shines through her myriad forms. So if I feel separate from Prarthana, then if she succeeds or gets what I want, I'll feel small, I'll feel jealous. But if I remember that there also it's Mother, everyone shining is finally Mother shining through that form. And when I say Jai Ma, it's real to me if I'm actually celebrating her victory and shine in every form, isn't it? Rather than thinking she should shine only through my form. Why? She's everywhere in every form, and she is going to shine through every form. I can turn black and blue with jealousy, but nothing can stop Mother from shining through every form. So instead of shrinking, it's so beautiful to remind myself, relax. What has gone to her is her due from the universe. It's not meant for me. Let me wait. What's meant for me will come to me. And meanwhile, she's also Mother. So when I say Jai Ma, actually celebrating and feeling happy that, yeah, you've succeeded, you've reached your goal. It's victory to the Mother in one form or the other. So now, Mother's words. This is Sri Aurobindo's words, which then Mother explains. Sri Aurobindo says, absolute faith, faith that what is for the best will happen, but also that if one can make oneself a true instrument, the fruit will be that which one's will, guided by the divine light, sees as the thing to be done, kartavyam karma. So Mother explains these words. Mother says, faith that always what is for the best happens. We may for the moment not consider it as the best because we are ignorant and also blind. So very often when we are in a black hole emotionally, we don't feel what's happening is good. We don't consider it the best. But Mother is saying, make a leap of faith and remind yourself, wherever the unseen hand has taken you to this emotion of helplessness, disappointment, it's good. It's paving the way to something. Be patient. Don't get agitated when you're in it. If she's taken you to it, she'll take you through it. So, we may for the moment not consider it as the best because we are ignorant and also blind, because we do not see the consequences of things and what will happen later. We don't know that maybe that very dark emotion of fear, Mother is working in our subconscious to make the fear less eventually, or whatever, we don't know. But we must keep the faith that if it is like that, if we rely on the divine, if we give him the full charge of ourselves, if we let him decide everything for us well, we must know that it is always what is best for us which happens. That is an absolute fact. So what are the conditions that the best for us will happen? Surrender. If we give the divine full charge of our life and fully trust him, then the best for us will happen. This is an absolute fact. To the extent to which you surrender, the best happens to you. This may not be in conformity with what you would like, your preference or desire, because these things are blind. It is the best from the spiritual point of view, the best for your progress, your development, your spiritual growth, your true life. It is always that, and you must keep this faith, because faith is the expression of a trust in the divine and the full self-giving you make to the divine. And when you make it, it is something absolutely marvelous, That's a fact. These are not just words you understand, it is a fact. When you look back, all kinds of things which you did not understand when they happened to you, you realize as just the thing which was necessary in order to compel you to make the needed progress. Do you see the truth of these words of Mother? She's saying, when you look back, all kinds of things which you did not understand when they happened to you, you realize as just the thing which was necessary in order to compel you to make the needed progress. Do we resonate with this? Sometimes our greatest blessing comes to us in the toughest periods of our life. The toughest periods of our life are the biggest grace sometimes. Somebody asks, Mother, you say if one always had the feeling that it is the best that happens in all circumstances, one would not be afraid. Is it really the best that happens in all circumstances? Mother answers, it is the best given the state of the world. It is not an absolute best. There are two things, Mother says, in a total and absolute way at each moment. It is the best possible for the divine goal of the whole, and for one who is consciously connected with the divine will, it is the most favorable for his own divine realization. So, best for what? Best for the purpose of your soul. It may not be best for you emotionally, mentally, it may be even draining. But when Mother says every circumstance happens in a way that is best for you, she's talking about best in terms of your evolution, best in terms of your soul's purpose. For the whole, Mother says, it is always at every moment what is most favorable for the divine evolution. And for the elements consciously linked with the divine, it is the best for the perfection of their union. So she uses a very beautiful word for elements. Elements is those of us who are consciously linked to the divine. For them, this really holds true, that always the best will happen. Then we'll say, is God partial to those? No, He's not partial. It's like there's a source of water. Those who've made a channel to that source will get that water and drink it. Those who haven't discovered that source or the channel to it will have to amble along the way, suffer many things till they find that source. But this is a beautiful thing Mother says. If you're connected to the divine in whatever capacity, then surely the divine will arrange every circumstance in your life that your aspiration will be fulfilled. That whatever you want in your deepest, it may not be what you want mentally or vitally, but whatever you want in your deepest will somehow be realized. Mother further says, only you must not forget that it is constantly changing. This best is constantly changing. It is not a static best. It is a best which, if preserved, would not be the best a moment later. So beautiful. So Sri Aurobindo says a very, very startlingly beautiful thing. He says a sin is a good which has outlived its time, or he says evil is a thing out of its place. Yeah. So suppose there's a best in this moment, because that's best at the level of my evolution, but 2 months later my state will be different, my level of evolution will be different. The best that's for me will also change. So I mustn't think that, see, today it may be best for me to succeed because I need that boost, I need that self-confidence. But 2 months later, suppose I've gotten a little arrogant, the best for me would be to fail. Because if I kept succeeding, mother's work in us at the end of the day is to take us out of the prison of the ego. Sri Aurobindo says the ego is the prison of the soul. So if I succeeded all the time, I'd just go tighter and tighter in that prison, right? So if success is best for me, I'll get that. If failure is best for me, I'll get that. But whatever I get in the moment is best for me. But do I have the faith to accept that even when I fail, even when people interact with me in ways that are unpleasant, still I'm being carried by the unseen hand? That person could not have interacted with me in that way. There's such a beautiful story of Mirabai. We all know it, but it lends the context here. We all know that after her husband was killed on the battlefield, her brother-in-law Vikram and sister-in-law Udabai hated her with her passion. So they were just waiting to get rid of her, and life provided the chance. We know that Akbar was a great connoisseur of music. He was a contemporary of Mirabai, King Akbar, and he'd heard of the beauty of her music. So he told Birbal that I want to, Tansen, not Birbal, Tansen, who was his musician, that I want to go and hear Mirabai. So they disguised themselves as Hindus and they went to Mirabai, and she sang so beautifully that Tansen supposed to have told her that Mirabai, today even I'm a musician, he didn't tell her I'm Tansen, but today my head bows to you because you're a far greater musician than me, because I have sung for kings, but you sing only for God. So there can be no greater musician than you. And he gave her a cup studded with diamonds. Now that was the goof up Akbar made. It had Muslim artist craftsmanship. So when Udabai and Vikram saw this, they said, this is some Muslim, and they guessed that the two visitors were probably Akbar and Tansen. And they said, you've brought great shame to our whole family and everything, and you have to be put an end to. So they decided to give her poison to drink. We know this story. And Mirabai was in such a state of surrender that she just looked at Krishna and said that, see, not even a leaf falls to the earth without your sanction. If they have spoken these words to me, you must have sanctioned that. Who am I to object? And if you have given me this poison, that also is by your sanction. Without your sanction, they couldn't have put this in my mouth. So if you will me to drink it, I'm going to drink it. So she put it to her lips and she drank it, and everyone was startled because they saw something black going down Krishna's throat, and Mirabai remained completely unaffected. So if you have that level of surrender, the way Mirabai did, the world can give you poisons to drink, but that's why Shiva is called the Neelkant, no? He drinks all the poisons of the world and just stores it in his throat. Mother further says, I saw this when I wanted to understand the position of the Buddha, who blamed the manifestation for its impermanence. So one of the greatest teachings of Buddhism is anicca, right? Everything changes, Buddha says. And Buddha says, well, because everything's changing, it's going to give you suffering. So his first noble truth was dukkha, all beings suffer. So that's what Mother is referring to. Position of the Buddha, who blamed the manifestation for its impermanence. For him, perfection and permanence were one and the same thing. In his contact with the manifested universe, he had observed a perpetual change. Therefore, he concluded that the manifested world was imperfect and had to disappear. That's why you extinguish yourself in nirvana. And change, impermanence, does not exist in the unmanifest. Hence, the unmanifest is the true divine. So the Buddha said, existence is anicca, it's changing, but behind that, there's a permanent, which is static. And nirvana means you escape into that. That's what the Buddha said. It was by considering and concentrating on this point that in fact I saw that his finding was right. The manifestation is absolutely impermanent. It isn't a perpetual transformation. But, and this but is very important, but in the manifestation, perfection consists in having a movement of transformation or an unfolding identical with the divine movement, the essential movement, whereas all that belongs to the inconscient or tamasic creation seeks to preserve exactly the very same existence instead of trying to last out through constant transformation. So what the Buddha said, the whole world is changing, and if you try to get happiness from that which changes, you won't get it. But Mother's saying it's not just randomly changing, there's a deep thought behind every change. It's an evolutionary change. So to consciously collaborate and participate in this transformation. So now these are Sri Aurobindo's words from his book, The Yoga and Its Object. Into quotes, I will deliver. That was the promise Krishna gave to Arjun, right? On the Gita, he is referring to that quote. Sarva dharman parityajya, that one. So he says, I will deliver you. You have not to be troubled or struggle yourself as if the responsibility were yours or the result depended on your efforts. A mightier than you is busy with the matter. What a beautiful reassurance. So if I'm ever feeling hopeless about things in my nature, so beautiful, Sri Aurobindo is saying you have not to be troubled or struggle yourself as if the responsibility were yours or the result depended on your efforts. A mightier than you is busy with the matter. Something much bigger than you is dealing with your fears and jealousies and angers. Neither disease nor calamity nor the rising of sin and impurity in you should cause any harm. Hold fast only to Him. I will deliver thee from all sin and evil. But the release does not come by a sudden miracle. It comes by a process of purification. And these things are a part of the process. They are like the dust that rises in clouds when a room long uncleaned is at last swept out. Though the dust seem to choke you, yet persevere, ma shucha. So very often you find, if you've told the mother that, Mother, I don't like this way of being angry, for instance, or fearful. After you've made that prayer, suddenly that anger or fear will double, triple, whatever, and you'll feel like, what's going on? But that is the working. Mother is digging it out deep from the subconscious. A mightier than you is busy with the matter. So you need infinite faith and infinite patience. Even when that happens, be patient. I'm still being carried. I don't know how to deal with this fear that's come. No problem. Mother knows, and anyway she's dealing with it. So don't get overwhelmed by those emotions and don't feel defeated by them, because she is handling them. Sri Aurobindo's words, it is not only in things animate, but in things inanimate also that we must see Narayan, experience Shiva, throw our arms around Shakti. All these are one and the same. Narayan, a form of Vishnu, Krishna. So in all things, in non-living things also, we must see Narayan, experience Shiva, throw our arms around Shakti. When our eyes that are now blinded by the idea of matter open to the supreme light, we shall find that nothing is inanimate, but all contains, expressed or unexpressed, involved or evolved, secret or manifest or in course of manifestation, not only that state of involved consciousness which we call annam or matter, but also life, mind, knowledge, bliss, divine force and being. Prana means Vijnana, Anand, Chit, Sat. So in simple words, he's saying that don't get fooled by looking at this flow and thinking it is matter. In Savitri, there's a beautiful line, all matter is a density of the soul. So beautiful. World of meaning in that. Matter is a density of the soul. So this matter itself contains wisdom and Vijnana and all that, but as a potential form. Now, Sri Aurobindo's words from the basis of yoga. Now we come, the title of our talk was the peace of being carried. But if our mind is very active with our opinions and judgments, that is what keeps us away from this peace. So this part of the talk will be the importance of silence and Mother's guidance on how to have access to that silence. Sri Aurobindo says, Basis of Yoga, the book, page 1, a quiet mind does not mean that there will be no thoughts or mental movements at all. Now that is beautiful. We always think a quiet mind is a mind free of thought. He's saying this is not so, but that these will be on the surface and you will feel your true being within separate from them, observing but not carried away, able to watch and judge them and reject all that has to be rejected, and to accept and keep to all that is true consciousness and true experience. Passivity of the mind is good, but take care to be passive only to the truth and to the touch of the divine Shakti. That means be quiet to receive that, but don't be passive to the suggestions and influences of the lower nature. When fear, anger, all that come, don't just passively accept them. Offer them to the Mother. Do whatever you need to. Again, page 11, Basis of Yoga. If thoughts or activities come, they do not rise at all out of the mind, but they come from outside and cross the mind as a flight of birds crosses the sky in a windless air. It's so beautiful, just picturize it. Sri Aurobindo is saying that when you're quiet, it's not that thoughts won't come, but your mind will be like a peaceful sky and thoughts will be like birds flying in the sky on a windless air. They leave no trail, no echo, no stir. They don't leave any reaction in you. So actually, if you just contemplate this in your mind, it can bring you silence. Just visualize your thoughts passing by like birds in a sky on a windless day. It passes, disturbs nothing, leaves no trace. Even 1,000 images or the most violent events pass across it. The calm stillness remains as if the very texture of the mind were a substance of eternal and indestructible peace. A mind that has achieved this calmness can begin to act even intensely, powerfully, but it will keep its fundamental stillness, originating nothing from itself but receiving from above. We see this in the life of Sri Aurobindo so beautifully. We know that in Alipur jail, he'd experience that cosmic consciousness and his mind would become totally still. He only heard the Adesh when it came, otherwise there was no mental activity of his own. And when he came out and he had to give the Uttarpara speech, I think the Uttarpara speech was after his experience of a silent mind with Lele, I think so, yeah. So either way, when he had to give the Uttarpara speech and his mind was completely quiet, he's wondering, what shall I say? I'm not capable of planning, structuring anything. And he's just supposed to have bowed to the divine in the audience and come before them. And we know what a beautiful speech flowed through him. And it came without him thinking anything at all. He just spoke and it flowed. So, a mind that has achieved this calmness can begin to act even intensely and powerfully, he says. Now, Sri Aurobindo's words, aspire, concentrate in the right spirit, and whatever the difficulties, you are sure to attain the aim you have put before you. It is in the peace behind, and that's something truer in you that you must learn to live and feel it to be yourself. So beautiful. He's saying all of us have the peace behind, and that's something truer in you that you must learn to live and feel it to be yourself. You must regard the rest as not your real self, but only a flux of changing or recurring movements on the surface, which are sure to go as the true self emerges. It's beautiful. See, two things, even if we really dwell on the concept, it can, one is this image of your mind being a sky and thoughts moving through the sky like birds on a windless day, leaving no trail, no reaction, nothing. The second is what he's saying here, that behind all this agitated mental and emotional activity, all of us have a peace behind, but we are not conscious in it. So he's saying it's important to become conscious of this peace behind, identify with that rather than this frontal churning inside us, and to live from that. Then somebody asked Mother, how do we silence the mind? How to quieten the mind completely? And Mother says, Mother says it so simply, but she just hits the nail on the head. So listen carefully, it's a very beautiful answer. This is very easy. It's the first step in yoga. There are some means which are very effective. First of all, you must sit quietly without moving, absolutely quiet, and try not to think about anything at all, absolutely nothing, and try to concentrate there in the heart. Catch hold of all the threads of thought, the sensations, the impulses, without letting a single one escape, and try to concentrate here very deeply. If you do that for a few days, then you will notice that the head does not think anymore, and a kind of peace gets established. There's a queer sensation that nothing exists around you. That is the beginning. And if you can feel the presence or the flame of aspiration, then you can throw all these movements into the flame, and the flame burns brighter. Only if you can feel the flame of aspiration or the divine presence, then it blocks all the passages and you find yourself before an immense silence. So she's saying it so beautifully. Sit peacefully, gather all the scattered threads of your thoughts, emotions, body sensations, and so make a visual that you're pulling threads of everything and plunging them into the heart. And then just stay concentrated in the heart with an aspiration. And she says when that aspiration comes alive, suddenly you'll get pulled into the peace behind, the silence that you really are, in union or yoga with your divine self. Or else, now Mother realizes that everyone can't do this. So she's given another beautiful method to silence your mind. She says, or else, if all this seems too difficult, you can do the opposite and think about what is beautiful in the world. Instead of thinking bad things, having these common thoughts and all that, you think how full of compassion, how benevolent the divine, How full of love is the divine. How beautiful is the divine creation. The rising of the sun, the setting of the sun, the vast sky full of sweetness. And what a grandeur, what a harmony is there in nature, all her beauty and magnificence. What is this miracle that animates the stars, and so on? How resplendent are these colors and the light mingling together. What a marvel I perceive, what beauty. What is this power that thrills me with joy? What is this peace that bathes me with sweetness? What is this grandeur that I do not understand? What is this mystery that remains concealed? Reveal thyself, I bow to thee. So she's saying, if you can't silence your mind, focus on all that's beautiful and happy and keep thinking about Mother. That's also a meditation. Keep thinking about God, keep thinking about Mother. That's also a very beautiful meditation. So, so beautiful. One of the 9th standard kids I teach shared with this with me last week. We had studied in yoga the interconnection between mind and body, and I had told them that when you're in a negative mood, your body feels very tired at the end of the day, and when you are happy and thinking happy thoughts, you've done so much and your body is so energized. So she said during tests I was very tired because I was constantly studying and all, and I needed energy. So I just sat and I started thinking thoughts that made me happy and concentrated only, and in a way she's picked up what Mother's saying without me having told her that. And she said, I kept thinking of things that made me happy, and suddenly my body felt so energized. So in a way she did the same thing, right? So these are means which are more or less good, and each person has to find the way that suits him the best. But the best way is to be touched by the grace. Then it is like the electric current that passes and everything disappears immediately, and you find yourself before an immense silence, ineffable, all-powerful. Somebody asks the Mother, is there any spiritual way of overcoming persistent hostility of a person? This is actually MP Pandit, because this is from his compilation. So MP Pandit asked the Mother, is there a spiritual way of overcoming persistent hostility of a person? Yes, there is. Slowly the Mother spoke with a half smile. It is to love him. I was completely taken aback, MP Pandit says. I could understand negative measures like indifference, aloofness, willed absence of reactions. I could even understand the proverbial turning of the other cheek. Now love, to answer to the Mother's definition of it, is something vastly different from what commonly goes under that name, but is really a fake, sentimental product, hiding behind itself a complicated set of self-centering calculations and bargainings. The love that can dissolve hostility can only be a kind of selfless love, a feeling and a reaching out of my soul to the soul of another without any strings. If I have or develop tenderness, a soft feeling for another, irrespective of what he may do or may not do, regardless of whether he responds or rejects, then that may be said to be the beginnings of true love. There is one self, one divine in all, and the divine in me, the soul, stretches out to what is itself the same divine in another. Thus it comes to this: to love one truly, I must regard the divine in him. If I succeed in doing so in such a small manner, I simply cannot allow anything to stand between him and me. between my soul and his. All that he says or does is of small consequence before the eyes of the beloved that beckon through his form. All else pales away. So obviously, if somebody's behavior is obnoxious, I can't love the person's obnoxious behavior, but at least it will help me to remember that Mother has said that she is in everyone. So if I've taken her as my guru, I believe what she says, right? So just because she has said it, I make a leap of faith and believe that, okay, even in this person who's saying all these kind of terrible things, the Mother is there. And just that thought will help me to not judge that behavior. Why the Mother in him is making him behave like this, I can't understand. But there must be some reason. And Mother said another very beautiful thing, really a life-changing thing. She's saying, if you approach the vilest person anchored in the highest in you, the highest in that person is obliged to come forward. Now the highest in you is the divine in you. Now if you are connected to the divine in you in whatever small measure, as a prayer, as a remembrance, and even mentally you think, yeah, Mother has said she's in everyone, so she has to be in that person also. And Mother said another very beautiful thing, my presence in the most terrible of people limits how terrible they can be. They are allowed to be just as terrible as is good for your growth, no more. So she's controlling their terrible behavior, the unseen hand is carrying them, she's carrying you to this interaction. Why react? Just trust her to handle it. You don't have to really even defend yourself unless you get an impulse from within to defend. She'll defend you because she has full control over that person. Na? You don't have any control over that person. You're trying to control the person's behavior to become nice, but you don't have any control. But she's inside that person, she has full control, let her do it. So Mother says, love is obviously the most potent and integral of all powers. Integral in the sense that it applies in all cases. It is even more powerful than the power of purification which dissolves all bad will and which is, as it were, the master of adverse forces, but which has not the direct power of transformation. The power of purification first dissolves in order to allow the transformation afterwards. It destroys one form in order to be able to create a better one. Whereas love need not dissolve in order to transform. It possesses the direct power of transformation. Love is like a flame that changes what is hard into something malleable, and even sublimates this malleable thing into a kind of purified vapor. It does not destroy, it transforms. So it's very beautiful. Mother says that there's the power of purification which destroys elements which oppose the divine. That's Kali, destroying the Asura. But there is also Mahakali. And Mahakali, the Sri Aurobindo writes, is the most compassionate and loving of all forms of the Mother. So sometimes Mahakali's action can be through such a deep love that love transforms negativity rather than destroying it and then creating something positive. In its essence, in its origin, love is like a flame, a white flame which overcomes all resistances. You can experience this yourself, whatever the difficulty in your being, whatever the burden of accumulated error, ignorance, incapacity and bad will. A single second of this pure, essential, supreme love dissolves it as in an all-powerful flame. A single moment and a whole past can disappear. A single instant in which you touch it in its essence and the whole burden is consumed. The first movement in love of whatever kind is to give up oneself to another. The mother's self-giving for her child, the lover for his beloved, the artist for his art. One begins to think more of the other, concentrate more upon what concerns the other than on oneself. One learns to forget oneself, and this movement of self-forgetting can be developed into a movement of self-abnegation, self-annihilation, till it melts into an utter self-giving. Where begins the empire of divine love? Love transmutes, and love has this power. It is this power because love in its essence is truth. The acme of love is oneness. The truth of all love is oneness. Love acts as a magnet, drawing all towards itself into the folds of oneness. Towards him, verily, all yearn, says the Upanishad. So, there are such beautiful stories of this. There's one story of a person who had come to the mother when she was in her body against his family's wishes. And when the family, of course, doesn't like it. So his older brother came to the ashram full of anger. He thought, they are doing something to my brother and all, to take him back. And he had come, and there was a balcony darshan, and he just went just like that, the older brother who'd come to take him. And that brother was a worshipper of Durga, and when mother came at the balcony and looked, suddenly he saw her disappear, and he saw Durga in all her glory over there, and he started shaking and sweating. He couldn't take the force. And after that, of course, he worshipped mother. He became even a greater bhakta of the mother than the brother who'd come. So mother has different ways of dealing. So many people who came to her with so much hostility, she's the mother. She could have destroyed them, but because she's the mother, she won't. Instead, she loved them. And by loving them, she changed them. Each one, when she says, she's lived this. When she tells MP Pandit, if somebody comes to you with hostility, what should you do? And she says, love them. She's speaking from her own example. We cannot imagine the amount of hostility people threw on her. And the same people who threw this fierce hostility, later on, some of them became her greatest devotees. So, some words by the mother on love. Love is at the origin of the world, and love is its goal. Love is in its essence the joy of identity. It finds its supreme expression in the bliss of union. Love alone can put an end to the suffering of the world. Of all forces acting in the universe, love is the most powerful, the most irresistible. So somewhere mother says, love is the most powerful vibration in the world, and it is a vibration that comes to you straight from the divine. Love is the supreme force which the eternal consciousness sent down from itself into an obscure and darkened world, that it might bring back that world and its beings to the divine. Consciousness is indeed the creator of the universe, but love is its savior. Consciousness creates the universe, but love saves it. In its essence, love is one as consciousness is one, but in manifestation it is colored and differentiated according to one's nature. Love is the only bond of legitimate union. No blessing is equal to that of love. Indeed, he is happy who loves the divine, because the divine is always with him. Indeed, he is happy who loves the divine, because the divine is always with him. So, we end with one thought, the peace of being carried. So, whenever we are not at peace, we remember that we've forgotten that we are being carried. So, it's so beautiful to come back to peace. I'm in a mind state of great negativity, great fear, great darkness, and I'm feeling I have to get out of this. Again, soften. I'm being carried into this also. Don't get sometimes we add so much resistance to emotions that we amplify them. We don't like feeling negative emotions and we keep resisting them. We want to do anything to get out of them, which is in a way a survival instinct. But if we learn to be patient, if we go through them with the faith that her hand has carried me into this emotional storm, I'm just going to relax, wait. She's doing something, this is her working, I'll come out of it richer and better. And I just stick it out. Whatever, whether it's an inner emotional storm, whether it's a storm in life outside, Sai Baba sums it up, no, Shraddha or Saburi. Shraddha, faith and patience through everything. Have that. And she will carry you through everything. So, there are beautiful lines from Savitri, they are not in the PDF, which says, one who has made this world is ever its Lord. Lord means controller, he's the Antaryami, he's inside everything. One who has made this world is ever its Lord. Our errors are his steps upon the way. Even if we make mistakes, it's his steps upon the way. We shouldn't feel bad about it. He works through the fierce vicissitudes of our lives, through the ups and downs of our lives. He works through the hard breath of battle and toil. Through all the battles and toils he is working. He works through our sins and sorrows and our tears. Whatever the appearance we must bear, whatever the appearance of life, sometimes the appearance of life is not pleasant, but whatever we have to bear, Shraddha or Saburi, whatever the appearance of life, whatever our strong ills and present fate, maybe the present moment's not very beautiful, when nothing we can see but drift and bail, when to our seeing we can't see anything but randomness, drift and bail, sorrow, a mighty guidance leads us still through all. Whatever the appearance we must bear, whatever our strong ills and present fate, when nothing we can see but drift and bail, a mighty guidance leads us still through all. Yeah? So shut your eyes and just this sentence, the peace of being carried. Whatever's hassling you, this one sentence can be your mantra, your aspiration. Let me feel the peace of being carried. And hear these lines from Savitri without explanation now. One who has made this world is ever its Lord. Our errors are his steps upon the way. He works through the fierce vicissitudes of our lives. He works through the hard breath of battle and toil. He works through our sins and sorrows and our tears. Whatever the appearance we must bear, whatever our strong ills and present fate, when nothing we can see but drift and bail, a mighty guidance leads us still through all. Hands together in a namaste. Take a long, slow inhalation. Breathe out with Om. There'll be